Chapter 98. There's someone behind you. You will die? Fei Yuliang was confused. He had asked about his future wife's name, but why would such a curse come out? There was no connection between them. He made sure he had followed the rules of the pen spirit game closely. He did not do anything that should have angered the pen spirit. He thought about it, and an answer came to him. This must be one of the preset designs. No matter what question I asked, these 3 words were destined to appear. Feeling like he had seen through the boss's trick, the confidence that Fei Yuliang had lost earlier started to resurface. The method to make these 3 words appear is interesting. Temporarily, I still don't understand it, but to amplify the fear factor, the boss has forgotten to take care of the situation's sense of logic, he explained. If it were any other visitor, they probably would have ended the pen spirit game or done something taboo to anger the pen spirit in their panic, and the appearance of these 3 words would have heightened their internal suspicion, thinking that the pen spirit had really appeared and allowed themselves to be feared. Unfortunately, their visitors today are the 2 of us. We have made no mistakes along the way, but the answer on the paper still comes up as irrelevant to my question. Therefore, this pen spirit game is nothing more than a scary trick. Even after his long explanation, Fei Yuliang realized that Jianing still had not responded, making him feel like he was talking to a wall. Xiaozhu, why is your hand so cold? He raised his head and saw Jianing was staring dumbly at the space behind him, his mouth wide open and his features twisted in abject fear. What are you looking at? The expression on Jianing's face unsettled Fei Yuliang. He did not seem to hear his teammate, and his whole body was shivering, just like the broken ballpoint pen they were holding. A bad feeling appeared in Fei Yuliang's heart. He had also sensed that the atmosphere in the bedroom had changed. There was an indescribable presence that had joined them in the room, one that had not been there earlier, and it felt like it was just behind him. He wanted to turn to take a look, but something pressed down on his back, and every muscle in his body tensed. What's going on? What's behind this? Various questions flashed across his mind, and the feeling of wanting to take a look but being afraid of what he might see made the man crazy. Xiaozhu, tell me, what are you seeing? What is behind me? A chill soon spread through his body. It felt like he had been dropped into an icy cave. Fei Yuliang shivered involuntarily, and various purplish bruises appeared on his skin, like many invisible hands were grabbing him. The thing behind him felt like it was trying to squeeze itself into his body, and the chilling presence pushing down on his shoulders became heavier and heavier. Opposite him, Jianing seemed to use every energy in his body to squeeze out a warning. There's someone behind you! Behind me? There were 2 explanations to this warning. Either someone was literally on his back, or someone was standing behind him. Fei Yuliang's brain was churning when Jianing suddenly jumped up from the floor, shook Fei Yuliang's hand off, and ran out the room. Jianing did not hesitate or even turn around once in his escape. Fei Yuliang, who was abandoned, still sat dumbly on the floor. The ballpoint pen seemed to have stuck to his hand, and no matter how hard he tried to shake it loose, it simply would not come off. Suddenly his arm froze, like something had taken control of it. Then the pen started to move on its own to write on the white paper. You will die! You will die! You will die! The series of blood-red curses appeared on the white paper. Jianing had already left, and the one holding the pen was himself. He was certain that he did not move his hand, so this meant that these curses were written by something else in the room. Even at a time like that, Fei Yuliang still managed to maintain his cool. He was an adrenaline junkie, and he did not believe in ghosts. He believed in the rationality and logic of science above all else. The thing that Xiaozhu saw is probably some 3D imaging. Since the chairs are arranged in such a manner, it means that the position of the pen spirit game is constant. With the careful manipulation of angles, it would create an authentic-looking effect. That should be the tactic employed there, but why would my body be shaking? He admitted that he had underestimated this broken ballpoint pen and the haunted house in general. If given another chance, he would not have entered the haunted house with so little preparation, and he definitely would have picked a better partner. The chill on his back continued to spread. As if depleted, the pen in Fei Yuliang's palm finally collapsed and broke into pieces after it finished the crazy scrawls. When the pen left his palm, the last word it wrote was, "Die." Is it over? Fei Yuliang felt his senses returning to his arm. It was then that he finally sighed in relief. His muscles were still rather frozen. He wanted to work some temperature into them. But he realized the pressure on his shoulders had not left, and he was still unable to move. He had thought he had survived the pen spirit game, but the real experience had just started. Why can't I move still? Fei Yuliang creaked his neck inch by inch to look over his shoulder. His eyes were narrowed into slits, and he was fully prepared. But when he turned, he saw there was nothing behind him. It was all for naught? But then why would Xiaozhu react in such a crazy manner? What did he actually see? Fei Yuliang's mind churned hastily, and the pressure on his shoulders increased like someone was stepping on them. Shoulders? Stepping on them? An image flashed through his mind, and Fei Yuliang slowly raised his head. Raven black hair falling all over her head, her face bloated from asphyxiation, the eyes popping out of her pockets, anger rimming the edges. There was a hanging woman standing on Fei Yuliang's shoulders. His lips fell open, but no sound came out. Every hair on his body stood upright, and his glasses slowly slid off his face. Fei Yuliang felt as if his heart had stopped at that moment. Before finishing the sentence, the focus in his eyes started to lax, and his body collapsed weakly toward the floor. Chen Ge waited for a few minutes before entering Mu Yang High School's scenario. He did not want to enter too soon after the two previous visitors. I haven't heard any screams for so long. Looks like I underestimated those two. After putting on the skin mask, Chen Ge's first destination was the sealed classroom. He placed the paper box with the 24 name tags on the lectern. The tables and chairs have been moved. They have been here and probably stumbled across something. What that something was, Chen Ge had no clue. After all, even he had not fully understood the secret of this sealed classroom yet. After putting the tables and chairs back into position, and the papers and textbooks back into the drawer, Chen Ge suddenly heard footsteps coming from the junction not far ahead. Someone was running through the corridor. Who could that be? He put on the bloodied coat and the mask made from multiple human faces and slowly slipped out of the classroom. Chapter 99. Silently Looking at You. The footsteps sounded hurried, like the person was running away from some scary beast. When Chen Ge exited the classroom, he saw the person responsible for it. The 1.8-meter-tall Zhu Jianing rushed out of the female dormitory screaming for dear life. His face was blanched, and he raced down the corridor like a mad bull. What's going on? Based on his running direction, he probably ran into something scary inside the female dormitory. But there's nothing scary inside the female bedrooms. Zhu Jianing was already scared out of his mind before Chen Ge even did anything. This gave Chen Ge a sense of helplessness. Didn't they say they're not afraid of anything? Weren't they very calm when they entered the scenario? Why is he running amok like a rabid dog now? Chen Ge also did not know what encounter they had experienced in the newly unlocked scenario. For the sake of safety, he decided to intercept Zhu Jianing to ask him for details. Zhu Jianing, who had raced out of the female bedroom, did not even have a chance to catch his breath before he saw a shadow moving inside the sealed classroom. The school uniform has come alive. The thought appeared in his mind immediately. He was racing so fast that he did not have the momentum to stop himself. When he reached the classroom door, he saw a bloody shadow slide out from the classroom. Time slowed for Zhu Jianing. His gaze fell on the person's face. It was a face sewn together by many different faces, and every single one of them captured emotions of fear, terror, and pain. I knew the classroom was not safe. Unable to stop himself, Zhu Jianing rammed directly into the wall of the corridor. Ignoring the pain that shot through his body, he pushed himself off the wall and turned to run. The combination of pain and fear had muddled his mind. Without seeing where he was going, Zhu Jianing saw the first exit, and he rushed into it. When he entered, he realized it was the corner toilet. Why would he trap himself? Chen Ge was becoming more and more curious about what exactly this man stumbled across in the female bedroom. Also, why is he alone? Where is his friend? After giving it some thought, Chen Ge thought it was best if he could get the answer directly from the man. He touched the skin mask on his face before entering the toilet. It was not until he was inside the toilet that Jianing realized he had taken the wrong turn, but there was nothing else he could do. He yanked open a random cubicle, which was the fourth one, and hid inside it. He clamped his palm over his mouth and squeezed his muscular body to fit beside the toilet, his heart racing and his pupils darting about nervously. Jianing was really scared out of his mind. When they were playing the pen spirit game, he had sat across from Yulang, and while his friend was busy analyzing, he had seen the pen spirit slowly appear behind Yulang. When the woman's bloated face appeared in his mind, he also felt like the air was getting sucked out of his lungs. That wasn't an actor. This haunted house is really haunted. They had searched the bedroom, including under the bed, before starting the game. They were sure there was no one hiding inside the room. That poor woman had appeared out of thin air. It has to be a ghost. The woman's face refused to leave Jianing's mind. Even when he closed his eyes, the woman could be seen swaying from the hanging rope. He felt extremely helpless as he leaned against the wall. He felt weirdly exposed. Yulang is still inside the room. The ghost was standing on his shoulders. A scene like that wouldn't appear in real life, would it? Jianing took several deep breaths. He felt like he was going lightheaded from a lack of oxygen. I need to contact the people outside. This haunted house is problematic. He tried to tell himself not to be afraid, but his muscular arms kept shivering. He rummaged in his backpack for a long time before he found his phone. Xiaozhu? Why are you calling me? Are you guys done with the video? The squat middle-aged man's voice came from the other end. Brother Yuan, please come in to help me. There are actual ghosts inside this haunted house. Jianing's voice was trembled with tears. I don't know how much longer I can hold on. There are God knows how many ghosts looking for me. Isn't it normal for haunted house to have ghosts? The middle-aged man thought Jianing was joking. Not ghosts played by actors, but actual ghosts, Jianing hissed urgently. He did not dare raise his voice lest the ghosts outside heard him. The middle-aged man finally noticed the seriousness in Jianing's voice. Give the phone to Yulang. Let me talk to him. Brother Liang was possessed by the ghost. He is still trapped inside that cursed bedroom. Possessed? I saw it with my own eyes. The ghost was standing on his shoulders. It was a hanging ghost. The face was purplish white, and her eyes were popping out from their sockets. Standing on his shoulders? You guys were assaulted by the workers. Okay, we're going in now. Not the workers, it's real ghost. There are no worker inside this haunted house. Before Jianing could finish, footsteps came from the toilet entrance. Has the ghost entered? What are you talking about? Hello? The middle-aged man's voice came from the phone. Afraid that it might catch the ghost's attention, Jianing quickly ended the call. Hopefully it doesn't hear me. Please don't let it discover me, and I won't ever visit this place again. Jianing turned off the phone, bent down, and stared straight at the wooden door of the cubicle. He did not know when the door before him would be pulled open, and he did not know what might be beyond the door. Various scary images filled his mind, like the scary woman's face appearing behind the door, or a school uniform fluttering on its own into his cubicle. What should I do? Brother Yuan, please come soon, he prayed to himself. The sound of footsteps came closer and closer. Creak. The door to the first cubicle was pushed open. The old wooden door creaked audibly, and it caused Jianing to hold his breath in fear. After a small pause, the second cubicle door was pushed open. It's getting closer. After another long pause, as he expected, the third door was pushed open. It's right next to me. It'll open this door soon. The muscles all over Jianing's body tensed. Fear and terror were tormenting his sanity. Time trickled by, but weirdly enough, no one opened the door to his cubicle. He waited for half a minute, and the door to his cubicle was still unmoved. It left? He gathered all his courage to pull open the door a sliver. There was nothing outside. It really left? He pushed the door slowly open, and there was really no one outside. That was lucky. I was almost discovered. After sighing in relief, Jianing called the middle-aged man's number again. As the light shone on his phone, he saw something reflected on the phone display. He looked behind him, and on top of the door of the third cubicle, a disjointed face was silently looking at him.